Well, hello everybody. This is Sheldon from ColourArte. Welcome to my channel. I am going to be doing another episode in Perspectives and Pouring. Now, right before me was Taslima Maya from Maya Art, and she did this beautiful swipe, and she embellished it with these bubbles, which was fabulous. Then following me will be Britta Clayton from Britta Clayton Designs. And then prior to Taslima was Leslie Onstad. And generally, I know last week she started at 12:30, but generally she starts at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. Then Taslima started at 1, and then now it's me. So normally I'll be here showing you a picture that I've done, the finished product, so to speak, but it's not going to happen this time. This time I'm going to be going into, not too in depth, but just showing a few examples of some different types of the most versatile technique that I've ever seen in fluid art, and that is the swipe. Because you can do swipes with the bloom recipe, you can do swipes with the recipe that has silicone in it. You can use a card with a swipe, napkin with a paper towel with a swipe, or any kind of piece of plastic with a swipe, as well as different ways you can turn a palette knife with a swipe. And when I first started fluid art, swipes had so many names, from ghost swipes, dry swipes, ninja swipes, tree swipes. So it's very versatile, but it's a nice technique to really get down because it can really enhance some of your pieces, especially when you're talking about the whole abstract feel of fluid art. So let's get over to my little test tiles. We're gonna demonstrate a few pieces. Now, I'm not keeping these pieces to dry. This is just strictly for a demonstration and to give you another perspective in pouring. Let's get over there. In the perspectives, I want to talk about the palette knife and the swipe on it, because there's many things you can do with the palette knife. And I hope I can just do this demonstration pretty well. I have a couple of these little test tiles I'm going to work with. So this is just going to be like a swipe demonstration that I can set some of the tiles aside. Maybe if they dry or not, I can use them for skins. But it's just something for me to talk about. What am I saying? I lost my brain. What was I saying? Oh, about just different types of swipes you can do. Now, I have 3 different cell activators. I have a gold. These cell activators also have US Floetrol and water. This is Amsterdam gold, deep gold, titanium white, Amsterdam titanium white, and Lukas krill oxide black, this here. So these 3 I'm going to be working with. Now, the colors I have are, this is Wine and Roses from ColourArte. I'll set you down here. This is a little bit, just enough for the demonstration, but this is a little bit of the, what do you call it? You see how it might be like that? That means it's too thick. So I'm going to thin it a second. Okay, but this is Aqua Flash by Folk Art. And I always thin my paints down with water because really, I don't do the Joe Sonyo water. I do straight water because if you already have a ratio of varnish to your, that's in your medium, then every time you thicken it back up with that little bit more varnish in there, it changes the ratio. Then you end up with a whole gumpy mess as you keep thinning it down with the varnish. Varnish does not evaporate. Vapor evaporates, and that's what the word evaporate come from, is from vapor, which is the moisture, which is water. So the water goes out, the water goes back in, and then you have thin paints again. This is a primary element. This is called Nantucket Blue. ColourArte Prism Pour. This is called Baltic Amber, one of my favorites. That and that Harvest Moon. And this is called Crabapple Red. This is a primary element. This is so beautiful. This is one of my favorite. Crabapple Red. Look at that. That is so beautiful. All right, so now I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and put a little bit of this house paint down as a little pillow. We're gonna do a few different types of swipes. Okay, so I'm gonna put my Activators on my counter over here. Since I'm working a little close area, but I don't want to. Hopefully I can do this right with I'm sitting down, so hopefully I got the clearance of doing this. Okay, good. All right, so now my first one, I'll show you. So I'll put a little bit of a pillow down. There's a little bit of goober that fell on there that came off the edge of the can, but that's okay. So just a little bit of pillow. So this is about experimentation, testing. So of course, when you test, you expect to waste a little bit of paint. That's why I'm using these. So even if some of the paint gets wasted, I don't really mind because this is about really teaching and learning. So let's say you have, everybody knows about the radial swipes and all the other swipes. They're gonna be tearing it all. So now I'm just gonna try something a little different. So let's say you have a little bit of color here. I'm gonna do a little color there, a little bit of the purple, a little bit of the Aqua Flash. I'm just gonna work with a small area. Try not to get too big. A little light, little drop here, there, like so. Not too big of a puddle, because this is just for testing. And the Baltic Amber, red. All right, so now I got that. So my palette knife, which I believe disappeared, oh, there it is. So there's my palette knife. So you see this puddle is a whole lot shorter than this knife. So what can I do with that? How can I make it pretty interesting? See, most will put these cell activators, whether it's a multiple cell activator, on here and swipe it across and get a nice bunch of cells that way. We will use cell activator. However, what I'm going to do is figure out that this top section right here, this top section is not going to cut across here. So this top section, I'm going to put one of these colors. Let's say I'm going to use some of that purple, like so. Okay. Then I may put a little bit of gold. Because whatever's gold on top is going to go, whatever goes on the knife first is going to be on the top of your swipe. Just keep that in mind. It's a little bit of the gold, a little bit of the black. So there you have it. The cell activator to go over the swipe, and this will be sided. So to get the idea, let me move this around a little bit to kind of spread it out some. Like so. There you go. So the idea is to kind of come across like this. And then you have, that's just an idea. It's not going to be perfect, but the whole thought behind that process is that this part has no cells, while this part develops the cells. And you can make a nice design out of that. Just to touch up a little area to where I didn't. All right, so you have a bunch of cells that just develop only in this section here, because that's where I put the cell activator there. But then you just have a solid color there. But you see the effect that it gives. Let me see if I can bring you up close to the camera. So there's the effect that it gave. So you can imagine making a little design out of that. So you could take your palette knife if you want. Maybe dip it in some red or some green, you know, and possibly maybe pull some color through that. If you want or not, it's up to you. But these are some ideas you can have just to kind of get some ideas to get some feel as to different ways you could take your swipes. So I mean, I can spin it a little bit, put you in the center. So that's one, and I'll set you aside. This is just a test anyway, so it's not that big of an issue. But I was just trying to show some of the different things you can do with swiping. So that's one. So another thing you can do is just have a few colors, but just have lacing all over the place. So let's say like you got a little bit of color here and a little bit of color just in the middle. But then you want it gold lacing all over the place. So you got more of your gold lacing on your, more of your gold on your palette knife than you do your width of your colors. So you can still come across, grab some of that color like so. And then you have areas to where you have color. You have areas to where you have nothing but lacing, as you can see. So there's so many ways you can fool around with swipes. Let me bring this closer up So you can see what I'm talking about, where there are areas of color and then there's areas of lacing. So my cell activator was actually wider on the knife than the puddle itself. And that's what you come up with. Do I save that? Well, I could. Let me spin her out, see what happens. There's a cool little area right there, but it's not really that dramatic. These I'm gonna rinse off. So, I think it's my last one. Now, if I can execute this, I'd be so happy if I could. So, this is what Jessica has done. She did something light, like underneath, right? She called it like a false pillow. And what she did was she put like a couple of light colors underneath. Okay, let's say these two blue colors. Then she had a dark color, and the darkest I have is this Wine and Roses. But she put this dark color over top of all of it. She used a, what do you call them things? Like a scraper. So she used like a scraper over all, and put it over all the colors. I'm just gonna have to go side by side like that to kind of help it along, to cover the whole thing. But she made it to where this color here was almost like solid over top of all those colors. Then, if I could imitate it really good. So then, what she did was she put a little gold cell activator on the palette knife. Like so. And she actually just swiped very lightly across the top, like that, across that violet, okay? So the only thing you really saw that popped through initially was that violet color. Try to pull this the other way, just to thin it down some if I can. Should I leave it alone? No, it's not working. So yeah, so I can pull it this way a little bit over that. Let's see whether or not I can pull some cells up there as I made it thinner. Okay, some cells are popping up. So you see there's nothing but purple underneath and lacing. Well, what she did then was, I'm gonna use my super small palette knife. But what she did was she did one of those scoop and drag things. And so she kind of went in the middle and lifted and pulled it. When she got it, she pulled up some of the other colors underneath. So let me see if I can make that happen. So I'm gonna go in here and try to pick up something like this and then pull it back and see if I can pull up some of them other colors. Did that work? Well, I saw some of the blue come up in there. So some of that blue that was in the bottom closer to the pillow actually popped up in this little section here. So to get the idea, that's what kind of pulled through the bottom. So that blue came through after I scooped and dragged it, but it wasn't coming through when I first put it on top. So that was also a pretty cool and neat idea that I saw that Jessica Winterstrom. Okay, folks, there you have it. I've done the demonstration. Now, I never said I was the best person to demonstrate using the palette knife. However, I hope that I was able to show you some different outlooks on how you can layer your knife, or how you could use your knife at certain angles to be able to create something beautiful on a larger scale. You can combine the techniques that was shown. So it was just a demonstration on how, or some ideas that you can do that's different from the normal drag across the colors. So I hope you learned something from this, or at least got some fresh perspectives in this particular technique. So right now we'll go to Britta Clayton with Britt Clayton Designs, and we'll see what she has in store for us in Perspectives and Pouring. Bye-bye.